Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I am Taneol at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry veterans to come together to share their knowledge, ideas, thoughts, best practices with one another, as well as with upcoming future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings of all our leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leader interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that have already proven a success formula for so many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such corporate heavyweight on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Amalaraj A. Marian. We welcome you on the show, sir.
Thank you.
He is a visionary financial expert and a distinguished individual who has spent over 2 decades reshaping the financial landscape and creating an indelible legacy in the visions of countless clients. His passion and vision extend towards crafting a legacy. This, coupled with his diverse set of skills and abilities that range from sales and marketing, research and analysis, to deep knowledge of financial markets, investing, economics, fundamentals, and technology driven problem solving, has culminated in his latest position as founder and owner of Amfinserve Financial Services. Sir, our first question for you today is, could you tell us more about your journey in founding and growing Amfinserve Financial Services, and what motivated you to start the company, and what challenges do you say you would have faced?
The journey for this company started in a very small way. You normally call it as baby steps. And these were the initial years when the financial markets were getting opened out, the industry was getting opened out. And we saw the first flush of insurance companies coming into the city. That was the time when I actually started exploring this area. The entrepreneurial bug was there for a long time, and this probably clicked the got the bug into action. Yeah. It wasn't easy, in the beginning because things were not so people were used to government schemes and all that. You had the LIC, you had the postal ones, and you had the banks. There was very little or literally no trust, where we would talk about people looking at the private sector as the people who would play a big role in the financial services. Even the banks, the private banks, were literally new at that point of time, and people were a bit skeptical about getting into any relationships which would build which would talk about building something like a long-term kind of a relationship. Then the next part is, coming to this area of, investing into financial markets through mutual funds and to other new means which were coming in at that time. Though mutual fund was about a few decades old, insurance was relatively new. Until such time, people only knew the LIC as a heavyweight over there. So the trust was very, very difficult. And this was the most toughest part, was to make people understand that one should look at the regulator also working in your favor. It's not that somebody has just come and set up a shop and he's trying to, garner business. So initial days were like, going door to door, almost literally knocking every door, and then, trying to make people understand. And literally, 9 out of 10 times you could hear a no for that. And that was enough for somebody to really get a kind of, a dampener kind of a feeling at the end of the day. But things kind of, slowly picked up. All those who walked along with us, they started seeing the benefits of investing in mutual funds. And by the time we came to 2005, 2006, people started trusting this mode of investing. In fact, they were so very happy about it. They started to kind of, improve their participation also. So we started to grow in some, you can say those green shoots started coming in. So we're talking about, times when India was kind of $500 per capita GDP. So nothing much really happens during that time. But when we were looking ahead, we were looking at 2000 plus kind of a per capita GDP where most of the things start happening. Things really start moving. And this all started, BRIC report was literally new at that time. 2002, 2003 was the BRIC report which got published. And till now, people are skeptical about the BRIC report talking about India's growth story till 2050. Think about it 2 decades ago. I mean, people would literally not believe you saying that, yeah, aisa kabhi ho sakta hai kya? We are such a poor country. How can we become one of those 3 biggest economies in the world, right? So, convincing people, making them understand, giving them the feel of how financial markets work, how investments kind of, prove to be a better way of wealth creation. And especially the capital markets, people were skeptical. There was only one kind of a reaction when people would say, why not look into the financial markets? They would say, boss, it's almost like gambling. And you had to make them sit down and make them aware that it's the business and you're taking part you're coming together with somebody as a partner in that business. And when you come in as a partner in a business, you become a part of the growth of the business as well as you become a part of the liabilities of the business. But it's not always that the liabilities would kind of take you down. You have such lovely businesses which have been there. Lovely banks have come up. And you can create your partnership in a small way with this institution. Even if you don't want to go directly, you have the mutual funds who have the wherewithals to understand the businesses and then, become a part of a mutual fund and you can grow. And all those people who listened to us, who started to walk, eventually saw the light. And then comes, the great 2008 experience, which again shook the entire foundations. Okay. But we were the ones who were there with them, kind of holding hands, making them understand that these are passing phases, like this kind of turmoils do keep happening. There's nothing to get worried. Anything what you are seeing today as some losses, they are at this point of time notional unless you don't go and book it and make it into a confirmed loss. So be there, be firm on your investment. Once we came out of 2008, things really changed. Really changed. People really started trusting the entire universe of this financial services industry. And we really saw the industry grow to something what is today as one of the biggest service industry in India. This was an amazing journey. I say every day was a new learning. Every day was something really beautiful. You'll not believe I haven't taken a long vacation in the last 20 years. Wow. And there's absolutely zero burnout. Absolutely zero burnout.
Only means maybe you haven't needed one, sir. Enjoying work.
I really didn't need one because I always keep telling people, I am in a profession which I am absolutely in love with.
Yeah.
So when you love a profession which is amazing and it energizes you, the first thing in the morning when you get up, you have a feeling when would I be in the office?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of energy which is there in the business, and it just simply went on. It just simply today we see the industry on the cusp of one of the biggest ever things can happen in India. And we're looking forward to those lovely times coming ahead now.
Sir, your experience spans both the financial services sector and the automotive components industry. How have your experiences in these different domains shaped your approach to business and leadership?
See, basically, there wasn't anything which was very different.
Hmm.
Okay. While I was in an engineering industry, handling automotive components, connecting with the OEM, connecting with the parts dealers, and developing parts for the OEMs and all that. But at no point of time I ever felt that engineering was something which was lacking within me, because right from my formative years, I had a background where my father was an engineer and we used to keep working with him. So even in our school days, we would do a lot of other stuff like repairing the automobiles, the bikes, and all that which were there in our this thing. So everything came as a part of the learning process. So as I came into the engineering industry, the nomenclature, the jargon, the things which I wanted to understand in terms of what happens on a shop floor of an industry wasn't new for me. Though I am from a commerce background, I was pretty comfortable with the engineering atmosphere. So sales from there on, I mean, took very, very easily. When you have the entire knowledge of the background of what the things happen, the front facing part with your customer becomes much, much more easy. But the other side of the coin is, it's not about always selling. It's about relationship building. Whenever you are with your client, it's not just about selling a product. There are times when you are selling a solution. There are times when you are trying to help him with a problem. There are times when he has an issue at his end where I need to stand with him. I'll give you an example. My biggest OEM was Magnate. And we were going through a kind of a labor situation in our organization. And at that time, it was very, very difficult for us to meet the demands of that unit. And we all officers and staff, except for the workers, were on the shop trying to do things. So during that time, it was so very difficult that anything all of a sudden coming on the shop floor would mean everybody had to run. So we had to run in just because my client wanted a certain part. So we all had to put in our efforts, get the part done, and see that it is sent to the lines immediately, so that he doesn't miss his production schedule. So that was the kind of atmosphere we worked with. Like, we had situations where we literally put our hands into the grease and grime. And there were times when we were sitting in the corporate office, shaking hands and talking over business. So this is something where a customer relationship comes. It's not always about selling a product. It's like, somebody would say today, hardcore sales people talk about selling an ice cream to an Eskimo. I always say, I never agree with this part. And I always say, it's not for that. It's about standing by him, trying to understand him, understand his requirements, and meeting his requirements, and coming out with a solution for his requirement. Then you have the whole universe to sell, not just the ice cream. And that's how it happens. So whether it is a financial sector or whether it has been an engineering sector, the process has been same. And being from the commerce side, coming to this area of investment worked on very, very easy. The icing on the cake was the engineering background. Today, to understand any company in terms of engineering background becomes very easy.
Yeah.
So for me, automotive component, analyzing an automotive component industry or working through the nitty-gritties of those working styles is not much of a problem. Besides, I mean, the other side of the entire industries which we really look around and look for something which could be attractive in terms of investment proposals.
Sir, it's impressive to see that Amfinserve Financial Services has grown to over 100 crore in AUM and serves a large client base. Could you share some key strategies and initiatives that have contributed to the success?
I'll tell you, it has been nothing out of the kind of, you go to the stars and you say, oh, itna kuch kar diya. It has always been very simple. Being there with your prospective investor, your customer, and listening to him and listening to his financial situations, his family situations, and building up solutions for his immediate problems. And you be there with him. And that's how this entire thing works. Because I'll tell you one thing, selling a product is something different. Being there, offering a solution, and holding his hand and walking through the thing is something very different. Every person doesn't have a rosy kind of a journey. Every family has certain bottlenecks which come up over a period of time. There could be somebody who is not well, or somebody who got an issue with something in his work scenario. There could be n number of problems. And the best thing with our profession is you're connected to so many people with so many professions. I have doctors. So if there is any situation with one of my clients, I would guide him to a good doctor and personally call a doctor and say, sir, ye problem hai, just handle it up. So if a doctor has any other situation, it has got something to do with any other kind of a scenario which is there outside the thing, something legal, maybe something to do with finances, get them there, give them a solution, work it out. And that kind of thing is there. So when people say, boss alag kya kiya, कुछ नहीं, daily basis में उनके साथ ही रहे हैं, solution बना के दिए हैं, साथ में चले, and it's as simple as that.
Very well said, sir. Sir, how and when did you develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
ESG came about a couple of years back. And it all started with the Morningstar conference, which is annually held in Mumbai. Okay. And if you're aware, Morningstar is a institution which caters to the data requirement of the entire industry. So we have been, for us, it has been a common, this thing, once in a year kind of pilgrimage to this conference which we go. And that's where the ESG concept started to evolve. In the initial stages, people said, what is this new stuff which these Goras have brought? Okay. And will it work in an Indian environment? So there was skepticism in the beginning about the ESG part of it. But nobody really realized that in some way or the other, you were doing some of it in some kind. Okay. We were slowly building up corporate governance. We were slowly building up the social aspects of the business impact. You are actually a little bit more in the environmental angle of it. And then comes the equivalent opportunity for the gender kind and the respect for the gender kind. All of these stuffs were being done some way or the other. Somebody was ahead in it, somebody was behind in it. You all had to catch it up. And if that had to be coined into ESG and bundled into one single concept of, working that entire 360-degree kind of a view of how a corporate should be governed in some way or the other, then the ESG got acceptability with most of them. So as we went ahead, we saw our fund managers also accepting the ESG in a big way. Initially, there was a little bit of skepticism there too. I mean, everybody wouldn't, because the number of ESG companies in India was also limited. And slowly and surely, now that the numbers are increasing, people have started to appreciate the concept of ESG and they're accepting it in a big way. Now, when I come to the management side and we look from this angle of ESG, because all this time we were looking at as an investor into an organization, and we were evaluating the ESG concept with the organization. And when you're talking that you become a part of the management, and now you need to develop your internal strategies so that you start looking better in the eyes of the investors. So having an experience of working on the other side of the table and then coming to this side of the table. And now look at it in a entire picture. It brings up a whole lot of value into this. Because you are looking, whenever you are trying to develop a solution, you are looking at it from both angles. The table on the side which you are sitting and the table on the other side of which people are watching you. Then you know the MCA came up, the government came up. Everybody is putting in that bit of an effort to make the corporate scenario far more cleaner, far more acceptable, and far more trustworthy. The last one is very, very important. Otherwise, people would look at businesses as entities which were absolutely not to the mark in terms of moral ways when we were looking at it. Today, they are looking at business with a lot of respect. And this needs to be taken up to the next level. Today, we are almost at the cusp of coming to the top 3 economies. And going ahead, when we are vying to be in the top 3, we need to have these factors very well ingrained in the organization. You need to develop the sensitivity within the management to see that everybody looks up to you with a lot of respect. And that becomes a part of the entire community, not just the few people, you know, sitting on the board. You need to have the entire environment built around that. Then only you will have corporates which will be looked up.
So which brings me to the next question. A part of this you have told me just now, but if you would like to add to it, that as an ESG and corporate expert, what values do you bring to the table?
Absolutely. I told you the very fact that I'm looking at one.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm evaluating my investment based on it. Okay. Now I have to come to this side of the table and start looking at how would I make my organization look attractive to the guy who is looking from that side. So you have to bring in all those great aspects which we want and which is formalized as the SOP of the government as well as the organization to bring it up to that level so that it becomes at par with the thinking process. Very, very simple. I mean, let me tell you one way. I mean, if you talk about governance and you talk about the right accounting practices, okay, there is already something which has come that the acceptable practices which are there in terms of writing your books and all. Now, if you're meeting those standards on a, say, 10 on 10 would be absolutely desirable, but even 8 and 9 would work to a very, very large extent. But you can always go and look at 10 as the ultimate target, 10 on 10. But at least one would begin to do it. That's where the whole aspect comes around. Automatically, it will change the entire scenario. See, I mean, look at it from the eyes of a banker who is scrutinizing a file of a corporate. And he sees the ESG scores right up there. He just needs to see the books and see the way the business is getting shaped. And rest of it is much said in an ESG report itself. Okay, so it makes all the more, it is, I was talking to one of our fund managers who has been an ESG expert herself. And the talk really went as deep as this. As how would a guy looking ahead to finance an organization would look at an organization which is not meeting the ESG standards, he would back off immediately. And the next thing, what would happen when he sees it as a compliant one? Things become much more easier.
100%.
So that's how we are looking at ESG to change the entire scenario, altogether.
So, what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? And what changes you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, Web 3.0, all the new technologies?
I don't think that you would have find somebody better to ask this question. I'll tell you why. Okay. We have worked in an era where for every small thing you had to write a check and you had to write a form and then present it on a
Yeah,
paper. Okay.
I'm sure.
Now,
Yes, sir.
I mean, you're talking about 2002, not very far. 2002 and 2008 kind of.
Correct.
And how technology has come in today, at the touch of a button, sitting anywhere in the world, you can do the transaction. You really don't need to do anything much than that. Now think about it, if I had to do a series of investments, which we call as a systematic investment plan, we had to go to the client, we had to ask him and request him for a bunch of checks, then sit down in the evening, write all those checks, put it on the form, send it across and put it into the table of a fund management company. Now all that is changed into a absolutely 1.5 minute affair where I don't need to do much. I just go in, fill in that detail on the platform, and boom, it's done. He just confirms the thing, and the money is gone from the bank at 3 different levels. I'm here at Nashik. My client would be anywhere in India. The fund house is in Mumbai. The bank is here in Nashik. Everything seamlessly connected, and that's how technology has changed the entire thing. You'll not believe. The whole world came to a stop during COVID. We were working absolutely normal. We worked the entire lockdown period from our home. Absolutely no hindrances. Finances kept on moving. Everything kept on moving. Something which would surprise you is the biggest of the money which came into the Indian industries came during that time.
Yes.
You would have remembered how Reliance Industries brought in that big money during the same period of time.
Yeah.
And that's how technology has shaped the entire thing. Going ahead, I see things are going to be much more easier, much more transparent, and much more accurate in real time. If you are committing some errors, you would be stopped, especially because AI would be. I see it as a supplement to the human expertise. Okay. I need to check in maybe a 50 set of numbers. My AI would come and do it for me in a jiff. And not for just one, maybe for a few hundred of the company. But the intelligence part of a decision making will always remain with the human. I am fully convinced with that. The expertise, you can't bring in that absolute expertise and the aspect of discernment. And AI can't bring a discernment which a human mind can bring in. So you want to supplement the human mind, declutter it, and AI is going to do that. That's going to make things easy.
Yeah. Sir, as we know, we're building a community here of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. What are your thoughts about this initiative taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
Let me begin with a huge thumbs up and a high five. Okay, I'll tell you why. Can you live in an island and expect the whole things to happen? Never. whenever you connect with people, I know I'm the one who is benefited out of it. I've connected to my industry in an absolute big way. I make it a point that every other month I would be in some industry event, trying to meet people, trying to meet the higher ups, the who is who of the industry. And there's a whole lot of knowledge sharing, new ideas, new thinking processes. The entire gamut is there. It just can't happen with few people coming together. It can only happen when the whole community is together. And there is a common platform where this knowledge is shared. And if that can happen in an electronic mode, that's going to be an icing on the cake. Anybody looking forward to access a certain information, if it is available at a click of a button, amazing. Then it cannot be like, you're sitting in the Wall Street, or you're sitting in London, or you're sitting here in Dallas. Every information is going to be common and easily available and accessible for everyone. An effort like this will always take it to the next level. And when the people are keen in sharing it, I mean, I would be the first one, if I am asked to be a part of that sharing process, where I can put in terms of what you say, a drafted kind of a document, or some kind of a write-up, some kind of a new thing which is there, which is accessible for everyone. And I think this kind of initiative can only go further in a very big way. Then, the momentum has to be put in. Everybody has to come in and the momentum has to be put in. And it will automatically run.
Great, sir. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will greatly inspire future leaders. Thank you so much for joining us today, and wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably has expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds. Thank you so much,
It was
sir.
a pleasure on my side also to be a part of this and communicate with you, because for me, this is something very close to my heart. Okay. The corporate world is kind of, always mesmerized me. And I would be like, always there. It energizes me, and I would be there always, working with people, trying to connect with them. And really see India coming up as one of those global leaders in terms of what we are as a country. We have already started showing it,
Yes, yes.
But times ahead, I want to see the glory of India really shining out. And I would be the one who would be celebrating the biggest, I suppose. So when we touch the third economy in the world, I would be the one who will be celebrating it in a very big way.
Great, sir. I mean, your energy levels, sir, today inspire me, sir. I mean, this morning when I talked to you, this is what it should be like. Loving your work, wanting so much more, and most importantly, getting ready on a Monday morning with happiness. यार काम पे जाना है, अच्छा लग रहा है.
So there's no Monday morning blues.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you only have sunshine.
So amazing, sir. Thank you so much.
Great, Tanay. I mean, great talking to you. Thank you
Same
so
here.
much.
Most welcome, sir. Pleasure's all mine. Thank you.
Thank you.